something else you can do is make something yummy in your kitchen. Maybe you can do this tonight.
Yeah, we were just talking about starting the month of October. It's October 1st. It's Wednesday, and that means Lucy Greer with Greer's Markets and Catering is in here. And Lucy, we're doing a very October-esque type of cooking today.
We really are. I thought with it being October 1st, maybe this month, these 4 episodes, I'll do something sweet potato, pumpkin related and get everybody kind of in the mood.
You know, this time of year, everybody starts talking about pumpkin. We're talking pumpkin bread, pumpkin coffee, pumpkin, I mean, any type of pumpkin you can make. And also, with this pork tenderloin that we have, it's football season. That's a fan favorite.
Oh yeah, this would be great for the game. You can put this on the grill, you can put it in your smoker, or cook it in the oven like is what we're going to do today. So this is a great recipe. What we have already done is gotten started on our sweet potatoes.
Okay.
I just took 3 large sweet potatoes, which big sweet potatoes are about 1 pound each, so about 3 pounds, and I peeled those and cut them up, and I just covered them with cold water and I put a teaspoon of salt in there and brought them up to a boil, and they'll take about 20 minutes to cook. And of course, when you're cooking any kind of potato, if you're going to boil it, you want to start it in cold water. As opposed to boiling the water and then tossing them in like you would pasta. Otherwise, they won't cook evenly all the way through.
Good tip. Hey, you guys, I've got to write that down and remember that.
So those
start
are
with
going,
cold water.
Yeah, start with cold water. So those are going, like I said, 20 minutes until they're fork tender. And now we'll get started on our spice rub for our pork tenderloin.
And of course, with meat, rubs are very important. That gives it that good flavor. What are your recommendations with that?
My recommendation is when you get your pork tenderloin out of the package, I rinsed it off and then I patted it dry with a paper towel. So as opposed to kind of putting it on wet where everything gets a little bit slimy. So when you put your rub on there, make sure that you have a somewhat dry piece of meat. And with our spice rub, we're going to start with kind of an interesting ingredient. I'm going to use pumpkin pie spice to kind of tie together our sweet potatoes. And it doesn't have any sugar or anything like that. It's not sweet, it's just your cinnamon, your allspice, your nutmeg. And then we're going to add a little bit of heat to that with 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. We're going to add 1.25 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and then 1 teaspoon each of dried rosemary and dried oregano.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And all we're going to do is mix this together and put it on our pork tenderloin. And you can, like I said, either grill this, you can smoke it, or today we're going to do it in the oven. And before we put it in the oven, I'm going to show y'all how to do a quick sear on it. We're going to sear it in a couple tablespoons of olive oil, which just means brown on each side. And it's going to give us great color from the beginning, and also searing will help keep all the moisture inside the meat.
Now with a rub like this, it's okay just to put it on and not let it sit there for about a time. Sometimes you like the meat to marinate.
Yeah, sometimes you like it to marinate. That's a good point. Another good thing about a rub is it's a lot of intense flavor right there. You can let it marinate overnight, or even, you know, for 20-30 minutes while you're getting everything else ready for supper. But this is going to permeate the meat a lot quicker than, say, a liquid marinade. So that's really a really good point. So we are all ready, and then we'll let those sweet potatoes keep cooking, and we'll get our pan ready for our searing. Yes.
Lots of good information this morning with Lucy with the sweet potatoes as well as the dry rub that we're doing right now. Make sure you stick around because we're going to, again, sear that next. And I know we all want to know about that. Joe, I like this morning.
Lucy Greer is in our kitchen because it's Wednesday, and she's here every Wednesday. Greer's Market and Catering is where you can get all the good stuff that we are cooking today. Spice, rubbed, and roasted pork tenderloin, and also some creamy sweet potatoes.
Yes, we have already put the rub on our tenderloin. That was our pumpkin pie spice. We had dried oregano and rosemary, a little bit of cayenne for some heat, salt and black pepper. And I mentioned earlier that when you get your pork tenderloin, out of the package, rinse it off, and then pat it dry with a paper towel, and then put your rub on. And so we just got this ready, and now I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a pan. And if you have a piece like this on the end or on each end. Kind of turn it under. And if the piece down here was really, really thin, which this one's not, you could turn that under as well, and that would ensure that it cooks evenly all the way across. Otherwise, that end piece is going to cook, and the rest of it's not going to be finished.
Somebody's going to get a medium rare piece.
So now we will get that going, and we're going to sear it on all sides, and then we are going to stick it in the oven. So we're just going to let that go for a few minutes. And it's going to take about 3 minutes on each side, and that'll get nice and brown.
And you have the oven preheating 425?
Yes, 425.
Okay.
So now we will get to work on our sweet potatoes. This was our 3 large sweet potatoes that I peeled and I put in a pot and covered with cold water. And
Not the instant stuff.
No. And 3 sweet potatoes really makes a lot.
Yeah.
And so I covered it with water, and I put a teaspoon of salt in there, and I brought it up to a boil. And these took about 20 minutes to cook. Oh, I cut them up. And now, as you can see, they just mash really easily. And instead of adding a bunch of butter and brown sugar and a lot of different things, I'm going to do them a little bit different today. They're still going to be really creamy, but the way I'm going to make them creamy is I'm going to add a cup of non-fat Greek yogurt.
Okay.
This is going to give us a good tang and give us the good creaminess that you expect from a sweet potato. But it's a little bit different, you know. Sweet potatoes don't always have to be really, really sweet, which is great, but I just like to eat things a little bit different. I mean, I like sweet potato casserole as much as the next person.
Right.
But this is just kind of a different way to do them. And then we are going to add a teaspoon and a half of our pumpkin pie spice, which is the same that we have on the pork tenderloin.
And man, does that smell good.
Yeah, we'll check on that in just a sec too. And then I have a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and we're going to sweeten it up with 4 tablespoons of maple syrup.
Oh, okay.
And this is pure maple syrup, not your regular pancake syrup that you can find in the grocery store, find at Greer's. See the nice color on that?
Yeah.
So this searing is going to trap in all the moisture of our pork tenderloin and give us that nice color. So that way when we pop it in the oven and finish cooking, it's going to turn out really pretty.
Okay, well, it smells good. Can't wait to taste everything.
Yes.
Lucy always has great recipes, and you'll find them, as always, on fox10tv.com on our Studio 10 page.